Hello everybody, in this video I will show you this beautiful Orgonite pyramid that I made recently, and in this video I will show you layer by layer how I built it, so you can get an idea of how I built my Orgonite and give you some inspiration for your own projects. Also in the background you can see here I also made two of these Orgonite domes. If you're interested, I will also make a video about how I made them. But for now I will just show you this beautiful pyramid. And since I also used some glow-in-the-dark material in these layers, it glows beautifully in the dark, and I will just show you what this looks like. So this is the pyramid glowing in the dark, and as you can already see, I've used multiple colors down here, different shades of green and also blue. And yeah, I think this turned out really nicely. Also in the background you can see the Orgonite domes that I made. They're also glowing beautifully in the dark. And yeah, let's start with the tutorial on how to actually build this pyramid. So let's get started with the tutorial layer by layer. As you can see here, I have a quartz crystal tip. This is just regular quartz crystal that is shaped to a pyramid form, and I've used this at the top of the pyramid. Here I already filled in some epoxy resin, and then I placed the quartz crystal tip right on top of it in here. And for the next layer I've added some fine copper granulate that you can see here on top of it, and after that I've added some blue apatite. It's a very nice crystal, one of my favorite crystals that I like to use. And on the sides here you see these copper rods. This is just copper wire that is wound and intertwined. As you can see here, it's on the sides. And for the next layer I've used some black tourmaline. This is a very fine granulate of black tourmaline. Also a very powerful crystal that's on top of here. After that I've used some pyrite granulate that you see here, and on the sides here I also placed some copper rods here and a copper tensor ring in the center. And after that I filled everything up with another layer of just fine copper wires. I made this myself. This is just very fine copper strands cut into fine pieces, and I think this is a really powerful mix. And of course everything is filled up with epoxy resin. And in the center I placed a quartz crystal tip with the tip facing to the bottom, so basically to the tip of the pyramid. So next off I've made a quartz crystal array, and on the sides here you see this is rose quartz here in the corners, and here you can see these four crystals are amethyst crystals. And again I filled everything up with epoxy resin, and after that I don't want any empty gaps with just resin, so I fill up everything with quartz crystal granulate. And I use two different sizes of the grain of the quartz crystal granulate. So on the bottom it's more rough quartz crystals, and here on the top you can see more finer granulate. And also you can probably see that this is more like a milky shaped color. This is because I mixed in some glow-in-the-dark resin powder. It's a very fine powder that I just add on top of here and use a wooden stick to just mix it in everything. So that's why the pyramid is glowing in the dark so nicely. Then for the next layer I filled up everything with fine iron granulate that you see here. And in the center, around the center quartz crystal tip, I used a magnet array. So these are just 10mm cube magnets, which are all facing south pole to the center. And in combination with the quartz crystal in the center and the iron granulate around it. This creates a really strong feel, and this is what makes Orgonite much more powerful in my opinion. And I basically use this in all of my Orgonite builds. So yeah, just to get a more powerful overall build. And you can also see here on the sides, the iron granulate is of course attracted to the magnets, and so the magnetic field is distributed over the entire pyramid. Then next layer, I've added some more copper granulate on top of here. After that, I've added another crystal array, which is really beautiful, I think. So what you see here, these are all black tourmaline pieces. They are all grown in this length shape that you can probably see here. And I just placed it, just like a sun around the magnet array. And on the sides here, I've added more pyrite crystals and also some fine quartz crystal granulate to fill everything up. Again, I do this because I don't want any empty gaps of just resin in my Orgonite builds. So yeah, most of it is just filled with quartz crystals and metals. Then I added another layer of more quartz crystal granulate, and also you can again see that the color is like very milky. This is again because I added some glow-in-the-dark powder to the resin and mixed everything in, so we get this nice glow-in-the-dark effect on this layer too. Then I filled it up again with another layer of iron granulate, and here you can see it more beautifully how the iron of course aligns with the magnetic field, and this is basically the heart or the center of the pyramid, which creates a really strong effect on the whole pyramid. For the next layer, on the sides here you can see I've added some more copper rods, and also these are stainless steel balls that are copper coated. So these are not of pure copper, they're just copper coated steel balls. And yeah, I placed them by hand, one by one, on top of the copper rod, which looks really beautifully, I think. And in the center, or inside here, I've added more of these balls just to fill it up more. And then I added more quartz crystal granulate in here, just because again, to fill up everything, so there is not just resin on the top of here. Then the next layer is again this fine copper granulate. The way I made this is just fine copper wire with multiple strands cut into fine pieces, which looks really nice and makes the Orgonite really powerful. And then we come to the next layer, again a crystal array, very powerful, I think. So let's start. In the center we got a huge black tourmaline crystal, then here are rose quartz crystal around here, and then on the outside I picked a lot of amethyst crystals, which all grow lengthwise like this, and added it around in a circle like this. I think this is a really powerful crystal array. And on the sides here I've added some more fine pyrite crystal. Then I filled everything up with more copper granulate, and also these copper coated stainless steel balls, and as you can see here on the sides, also these copper rods and the balls on top of it. These are all placed by hand. Looks really nice and is also really powerful in its effect, but it takes a lot of time and patience. When you do this, make sure that you fill up the resin so that the resin covers the balls, so it's much easier to place when the resin is already over the balls. I hope you understand what I mean. If you do this when there is no resin here, the balls will just fall in and it's much harder to do. So just fill in enough epoxy resin and add the balls after that. Then the placement is much easier. Yeah. Then the next I did, as you can see here, here, and here, I have added another or more magnets. These are just 15mm disc magnets. This is just to increase the overall field strength of the pyramid, so also the bottom part is magnetic. And you can see that these stainless steel balls, which are copper coated, are very much attracted to the magnets, of course. Then the next layer is this red layer. As you can see, this is just what's it called, iron oxide powder, and this is naturally red, and I mixed this into the resin. And yeah, I always do this with my Orgonite builds, that I use this iron oxide powder, and also I used a lot of quartz crystal shards and finer granulate to fill this layer up, so it's not just this resin mix. Then I of course added more fine quartz crystals to fill everything up, and then I always use a wooden stick to poke everything in, and yeah, to make the overall orgonite more densely packed. So this is what you should always do with every layer. Use a wooden stick or any stick and just make sure that you fill up everything and spread it out evenly. And for the next layer, I use this black resin mix. This is shungite powder that I mix into the resin. So this is very fine shungite powder, and yeah, it mixes with the resin really well. And as you can see in the center here, I used a lot of iron granulate again to fill up the whole layer. And in the center you can still see this ring. This is of course because of the magnetic field of the array. And then I filled it up with even more of this black shungite or resin mix. And yeah, this is basically the last layer, and I let this dry. And just as you can see here on the sides, we have a lot of bubbles. This is because of just the shungite mix. It creates a lot of bubbles, and as you can see here, it is a very flat and even and nice looking surface. The way I get this is I just take a blowtorch or any lighter and just go over it, and with the flame you can pop the bubbles. Just make sure that you don't expose the resin for a long time with the flame. Just go over it very quickly so you don't heat up the resin too much. And this is basically how I build it. And then you end up with this very beautiful and extremely powerful pyramid that you can see. And we can go again layer by layer here. We have the quartz crystal tip, some copper granulate, blue apatite, then we have this black tourmaline, then we have pyrite. Here we have these copper rods, some stainless steel balls, more iron granulate, copper granulate, then this quartz crystal layer mixed with glow-in-the-dark powder, another copper rod with these stainless steel balls, iron and copper granulate, pyrite, another quartz crystal layer with glow-in-the-dark powder, then again iron granulate, and so on. Here we have the copper rod again, which encloses this whole layer, which is this concept of this build. And here in the bottom layers I use these copper coated stainless steel balls, and again more fine copper granulate, pyrite, and another quartz crystal layer with glow-in-the-dark powder, some copper, a copper rod, and again, yeah, you get the deal. you have seen it before. This is just from the outside, and here is another angle, and here is a top view of it. And this is what it looks like in the dark. I think that's really, really beautiful how this turned out. And this pyramid is also available in my shop. The link is in the video description if you're interested in it. I can also do custom builds if you want this. You can just send me an email or a message on Etsy if you want to request this. And yeah, also there are other Orgonite builds that I've made. So if you're interested in them, check that out. So yeah, that's basically how I made it. I hope this helped and gave you some inspiration. And thanks for watching. Have a nice day and goodbye.